States. Tell me what to do with the states. All them rivers you named. Rocky. It's not good. Now you got 22 blanks on. I hope not.
Okay, so while they are setting up their information, I'd like everyone to look at the rubric, please. Everyone look at the rubric. Okay, so on the rubric where it says presentation, what does it say for the most points? Somebody read that to me. For the 20 points.
Speaks clearly.
All right, say it one more time, loud and clear.
Speaks clearly, eye contact, posture, and breathing.
All right, read the one for 15 points, somebody.
Speaks clearly most of the time. Eye contact most of the time. Knows the material fairly well.
Okay, and the one for 10.
Speaks clearly some of the time. Eye contact some of the time. And not know material.
And the 0 one.
Mumbles, no eye contact, and does not know the material.
There you go. So that's what I'm looking for.
That's real.
If you have no idea what you're talking about, if you're looking at the slide like this instead of looking at the people, that's a problem. You should know what you're talking about.
Can we sneak that quick glance every now and
I mean, glances is one thing, but staring at it while you're trying to talk and talking to the board.
You're supposed to pay attention to the Balmer today. I'm going to do what you did. Just walk around, just casual to the board every once in a while. Sneeze.
Okay?
God, I gotta tell my shoes. I'm just so.
Hey, yo, hop on my group, yo.
I don't. That's it.
He's really proud.
Alright, folks, give them your attention.
So we did it on the Mexican Cession. Okay. James K Polk was the president during the Mexican Cession. He was the 11th president. He made a promise to run for one term, and he kept his promise. And he wanted to serve only one term because he said if he could not get his job done in one term, he should not be in office. And he was born November 2nd, 1795 in Pineville, North Carolina. He died June 15th, 1849 in Nashville, Tennessee. He graduated from University of North Carolina. Why was the territory desirable? The land was desirable because of it had a lot of land. It also caught people's interest because of all the gold land to offer, and gold rushes were also very popular during this time. Oh yeah, this land opened up to Utah, California, Arizona, and Nevada.
Okay, so there were boundary battles between the U.S. and Mexico, and the southern boundary was the state Chiqui Rio Grande, and they made it further down south than the original boundary that was set by the new state.
Who previously controlled the territory? The Native Americans were the first people to control it, and then Mexico came, and then now the Mormons controlled the territory. The Mexican Cession is made up of Nevada, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona.
Overall significance of the land was that America, once they bought it, they would become this complete supreme power, because now this is when you get the view of the entire North America map. And once land had once it was bought, economic impacts would include the ruin and damage of property to the Mexicans. Once Texas claimed this land, America purchased the rest of Arizona, New Mexico through the Gadsden Purchase, which was once the Mexican Cession happened, this came right after it. It would be kind of like the domino effect. Discoveries would include new territories, resources like you mentioned earlier, like gold in the Southwest, and what we've been learning in the class notes previously.
Okay. The wars. 1846, a war erupted between Mexico and the United States. The war was fought over land and trading ports to the west. The war lasted about 2 years until finally a treaty of peace came, which was known as the Guadalupe Hidalgo, was signed in 1848, becoming known as the Mexican Cession.
Okay, so the treaty was between US and Mexico. The treaty was brought on by Nicholas P. He also carried out the treaty, and it was signed February 2nd, 1848, in the Village of Guadalupe, Hidalgo, and the US paid $13 million to Mexico.
Alright, so the territory was located in the western region of the United States. This included California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and some parts of Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico. The states today, there are the entirety of California, Nevada, Utah, and a portion of the states are Colorado, Wyoming, Arizona, and New Mexico. So the Mexican Cession would give the United States land that would later become these states today. The major waterways were the Colorado River, Gila River, Rio Grande River, Columbia River, and a lot more. And the major mountains would be the Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada.
Some fun facts. The American Army never lost a major battle. Tensions between Mexico and U.S. have been high between the two since 1836. Mexico officers were terrible. Fighting continued for more than a year and ended in September 1847.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do, somebody email that to me. No, just like wherever you are, just go ahead and email that to me. And next group, who would like to go next? All right, Sean, go ahead and go get y'all stuff.
I didn't do you guys get this done. I want to stay here.
I mean,
Yeah, I know you got full change time.
yeah.
I don't know what if there's time. Make it quick, folks, make it quick.
It was great.
That's the road.
Balmer at WCPSS.
That's right there.
Who gets out 11:05? Today?
Oh, Wake Forest High School is at 11:05.
Why are we getting out? Everybody's got memory pressure with that. Yeah, that's when it's crazy. You gotta say it. Husky Hill. Oh yeah, Husky Hill.
Okay, folks, make it quick, need to move along.
I know that's what you I didn't know where to go. Well, maybe something. It'll be
I did not write that.
Well, no, those aren't drugs. Those are
I saw an indoor drug fly, and I thought that was dumb.
She's messing out with here. Trying to do.
Why do you do that? Antoine does that every day.
The wall behind top.
But I gotta wear it though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where is it?
Like I was looking to take it out early.
You do that every day.
Like in the morning, I just get a brush to like before I go to sleep, I gotta like lay down take your time. Then I gotta brush in my eye.
Alright, here we go. Going live. So, working on the gas and purchase.
How do you make it go to the next slide again?
You have to actually touch the computer.
Alright, we did the gas and purchase.
Who was we?
Me and my groups.
Shonda's Gary. Haley, she's not here. She has a concussion, you guys.
Yes, Alex.
We don't got time for this.
Alright. Alright.
Sean this year.
So,
So this treaty, it was the territory. It was established on December 30th, 1853. The land was originally owned and controlled by Mexicans. It designated the U.S.-Mexican border, and it also received the U.S. received 45,000 square miles for $15 million of the land. And the gas and purchase takes up south of Nevada and southwest of Arizona. And the benefits of the territory was that the railroads that the U.S. was trying to build could easily run through the gas and purchase over the land that they had bought. And President Franklin Pierce was the 14th president at the time when we had made the purchase. President Pierce sent James Gadsden to negotiate a treaty with the Mexicans over the land, and it's also known as the Treaty of La
Mesilla.
Mesilla.
This was the person that President Franklin Pierce sent to negotiate a treaty with the Mexicans. James Gadsden, he was born in 1788, died 1858, and he served in the War of 1812. The Treaty of the Gadsden Purchase was signed December 30th, 1853, and it stated the United States would purchase 45,000 square miles for $15 million.
This was Haley's part, and Gary's part, so we're just not gonna let him do anything. You guys are.
Location, it was located in the area of Arizona and New Mexico. Established the American and Mexican borders. Right here, as you see right here, is Arizona and Mexico, New Mexico. Alright, geo features, there were deserts in the west of Rio Grande and the south of the Gila River. Mexican and American conflict. There was a lot of tension built up in the U.S. and Mexico for about 6 years. Tension between Mexico and U.S. complicated things for trade for the U.S. and for them to expand. They tried to buy the Musa of
Tibet, so they will provide alternate southern connection to the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. But the president of Mexico, Joao C. Brazos, refused the grant and angered the investors of the U.S. And the reason why is because the fear of rebellion like those in Texas. How the U.S. obtained the territory. Santa Anna, he basically refused a large portion of lower Mexico, but after a while he was forced to sign a treaty that reduced it from 15 million to 15 million. And in April 25th, 1840, the treaty still was signed and reduced even more to 10 million, so, or less.
Well, before the Gadsden Purchase, there was, of course, the American and Mexican War. It happened between 1846 and 1848. It ended with the Treaty of Guadalupe and Hidalgo. The tension between the two continued to rise because because in the treaty it stated that America would protect Mexico from any Native American attacks. So they were demanding like money from them to compensate from the attacks. And the U.S. refused, saying that they, according to the treaty, are not supposed to financially, but just like physically protect them. The U.S. had problems with trying to make a longer railroad, but it would have to go through Mexican territory. So they attempted to purchase the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, which is an isthmus on the southern edge of North America. But Mexico already granted the rights of Jose Guerre to build colonies for Americans, but the president soon took that away because they thought, yeah. So in fear, they took it away from the Americans, and this angered the U.S. investors. So after they did purchase it, like Shonda said, the U.S. territory is now complete from east to west. It removed any mentions of Native American attacks and claims, and there were still border arguments and issues, but the treaty did not solve these issues completely.
That's very important to note if you are taking notes, like everyone should be. Gadsden Purchase did not solve really any disputes. They were still very much alive.
The effects of these events, sort of, I think she put events as significant parts, maybe not. It created the southern border, like Shonda said, for America. And even after this, people still thought that they were going to try and go take over parts of Mexico and keep going until they got all of it. But this land just sort of opened up the way for the transcontinental.
Economic impact. America gained more land, resulting in more economic growth. Railroads were eventually built, allowing trade and travel, just like Gary said, and a couple other points, throughout the West, and expanded the United States even more bigger.
The discoveries that the Gadsden Purchase founded, railroads were built along the West Coast, expanded travel towards the West, and it also made the economy grow for America.
These are our websites.
Okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yo. Yeah, like we send her, like we did our part and we just sent it to her while she was at work, cause she like took it like late at night.